Hi guys, George here. I'm going to bring you a video about the next scenario that I'm going to play. I've been neglecting to do videos because I'm playing more than video making, and I thought it was about time I uploaded a new video. So this is about the next scenario that I'm going to play, and it's called Debacle at Kiang, and it is a bounding fire scenario. ITR-1. It takes place in Sunkyuan, China, 8th of November 1937. So this is well after the Marco Polo bridge incident, which technically started World War II on the Pacific Theater. And basically, all it says here is that Chiang Kai-shek, although he had a superior number of men, 500,000 and 71 divisions in this area, um, and plenty of elite German advisors. Uh, what happened exactly is that the Japanese imperial forces that were better trained in assault um, kind of won. So the victory conditions are here. The Japanese win at the end of the game by controlling 11 multi-hex buildings, 11 or more. There is a balance option. Basically, what you get here are 9 447 uh, nationalist Chinese, 7 half squads, uh, then 2 crews, a few support weapons. Well, at least you have 4 LMGs, which is great. And the HMG is pretty nifty with a rate of fire of 3. One ATR rifle, 2 76 artillery field guns, and 2 armored cars. The Japanese, on the other hand, they're the attackers, and they have 16 447s. Um, 2 armored cars, quite a few more liters than the Chinese, and quite a lot more um, uh, of support weapons. 2 mortars, 3 LMGs, and 2 medium machine guns, a flamethrower, and 2 satchel charges. Um, so basically, uh, the after action report here says the Chinese withdrew ultimately. Couple of SSRs, no kindling, environmental conditions are moderate. Something about railroads, I have to read up on that. 4 fortified buildings for the Chinese. Now, my opponent is also my mentor, and he sent me a little uh, uh, log file, a vassal log file, to communicate to me some of the special rules with respect to how the Japanese troops are handled using ASL rules. So let's get to that one. So basically, here's the map, and the Japanese forces are attacking in this direction from up here, and have to take some of the multi-hex buildings here, 11 to be exact. These are factories. That's a multi-hex building. These black bars designate that you don't have line of sight between that area crossing the hex side. So, first, although we use Chinese and Japanese, the PTO terrain is not in effect here. Okay, and there are rules with respect to PTO with uh, the different terrain that you find on the Pacific theater versus the European theater. So let's step through the log. About the Japanese, their main characteristics is that they don't break normally under fire, and that is the main characteristic of the Japanese troops in ASL. So this is the sequence of ELRing, I suppose. Um, let's see. Okay, So here we have a 447 Japanese squad. Let's assume this dude fails a morale check. It's step reduced. It does not break. So it becomes a 347. So he step reduced. It's not that he's broken. He has lost a firepower factor. He can possibly recover that from heat of battle, I suppose. So let's say he fails again a morale check. What happens to him? He's reduced to a half squad at 237. Now if the half squad fails, he's broken and under desperation morale. So they're not good at defense, they simply melt away. Good on attack, they lose strength, then they're hard to stop. So the two crews are meant for the medium machine guns. Japanese normal infantry uses MGs and HMZs as unqualified personnel. So basically the support weapons for the Japanese have to be crewed, or they're being used as unqualified personnel. When a Japanese unit enters into close combat, they can always make it hand to hand. So even if a melee is not in order, they can make it go into order. I believe as per the SSR, in this case, the Chinese also have that capability. Let's double check that. I'll always read the scenario card maybe once or twice. Here, no, here, the Chinese may declare hand-to-hand combat, J2.31. Okay, great. Let's go back and step through the log here. Notice that your Chinese have the same capacity by SSR. Good. I forgot to mention one thing, and I'll mention it to you as well. There is something special with respect to the Chinese troops, and I seen it in a movie about the war against the Imperial Japanese Navy with respect to the Nationalist Chinese. Let's have a look at terrain. The terrain, I believe this terrain here, it is a factory. Yep, and I'm familiar with factories because it also exists in ETO. They're level 2.5 obstacles with only a ground floor and a rooftop. You get to the rooftop by going into a stairwell hex. Having a sip of tea here. Oh, in this case scenario, there aren't any rooftops. Okay. All of them are. This is a lumber railroad station. Is treated as a factory, lumber yard. These are towers, storage tanks, and they're treated as level 1.5 obstacles and are concealment terrain and have a +1 terrain effects modifier. Unless the location is encircled, in which case it is not concealment terrain and has no TEM. Those brown round things are towers as well. B34 as amended by Bounding Fire. And that's the end of the tutorial. However, there's one important item that was not mentioned. And what has not been mentioned is that Chinese nationalist troops, they can designate a certain percentage, I believe 10%, yeah, 10%, I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, 10% fractions rounded up to, not to, but 10% fractions rounded up any multi-man counter as a dare death squad. So the only problem with this is they don't have any designations, because you should be using the delayed notes, right, to identify the two squads. In this case, I calculated it to be two squads that are dare death squads. And what is essentially a dare death squad is, you can, the moment a enemy unit comes within 8 movement factors of your in your LOS, go berserk. Designate the squad as a berserker, and boom, you go after the squad. And I believe berserk units here have a 10 morale check. And unlike classic squad leader, I believe what happens in this case is that once they've eliminated a squad in um, in close combat, they can return back to normal status. However, in advanced squad leader, the morale of the berserker increases, but they could nonetheless be subject to a failure of a morale. And that isn't usually pretty. Now, I want to ask you a question. You can reply in the comments below if you want. I'm about to play this scenario Tuesday coming up, and my question to you is, should I confront the Japanese infantry up front and close and personal, or should I uh, try and uh, have my squads more in the rear? And on that note, I'm going to end this video. I hope everybody enjoyed it, and that you'll probably try this scenario sometime in the future. Um, I've been reluctant to play in the Pacific Theater, but I'm looking forward to it, because it's going to be a change of pace compared to playing Eastern Front scenarios all the time. Thanks for watching, and take care. Good night.